monster inside of me. You better watch out if your enemy's a road ahead of full prophecy to be the greatest beast the world has ever seen. I feed him every day like the bones clean. I feed him all the hate and he grows me, and he gets claws real big, gets off quick. And if you cross him, you might drop dead. Metaphorically, of course, settling the score, never getting bored. Loves the blood and gore, always wanting more freedom from the source. They don't really listen until they feel the force of blood. And if you start shit, you be heartless in the darkness. Torn apart quick, you left scars ripped to be chewed up and discarded.
And this world ain't right, won't accept it. Negative energy, I expect it. Once it's in your mind, it's infectious. So fight for your life and reject it. You better give me space, I'm protective. My adrenaline spikes when I'm threatened. And if you stay in my way, I'm aggressive. Cause when there's no exit, I'll kill when I'm desperate. There's no exit, I'll kill when I'm desperate. Negative energy, I expect it. Once it's in your mind, it's infectious. So fight for your life and reject it. You better give me space, I'm protective. My adrenaline spikes when I'm threatened. And if you stay in my way, I'm aggressive. Cause when there's no exit, I'll kill when I'm desperate. There's no exit, I'll kill when I'm desperate.
mind to a limit where it needs to be. I work blind, got vision I don't need to see. I'm picking mind over matter, I believe in me. I need to find more hours in the day to breathe. Need to find more power in the way I be. And when my mind turns sour with the painful scenes, I need to scream out loud, I can't stop.
Hello and welcome to my Mind Over Your Matter. My name is Rick. Let's get this show started. Oh my goodness. I had such a wild day today. But I'm here. It's nice. It was a beautiful day today actually. It was actually 69 degrees today. Wow. We almost made it to 70. It was pretty close. But sure enough, it was such a beautiful day. And we see a little bit different. I trimmed down my beard because it was bothering me. And I was like, you know what? Let me just trim it down and did a pretty really good job on it actually. And but we got some news to go through and some stuff to watch. It's not gonna be a long show because I really don't want a long format show today. I really want to keep it to 2 hours. I always say two. Never happens. Like Ricky, that never happens. When has that ever happened? It just doesn't. But it's okay. We got so much to go over, and I'm actually still picking out videos for us to watch. But how was your day today? Because my day was pretty, like I said, it was pretty intense in the beginning because I have physical therapy in the morning, and physical therapy is not easy for me, especially that I'm going through a lot of like health issues, and I'm trying to figure out like what's going to be happening next. And tomorrow, I got a couple of appointments. I have an appointment with the chiropractor, and I also have an appointment with the neurologist. So they're going to see what is going on in my brain because I keep having issues in there, and I don't know if I'm having some kind of aneurysm or some kind of something that's going on in my brain. But we're gonna have to figure that out. And yeah, I mean that's uh, that's the scary part about like life and about health because you don't know what the hell is really truly going on inside, and it's kind of like a jigsaw puzzle inside of you, and you're trying to figure out what can I do to help myself get better. And I'm doing everything. I'm going to all the physical therapy appointments. I'm going to all my doctor's appointments. I'm just doing so much, and I feel like it's not enough. I feel like there's still more that I got to do, and I still got to push myself. And I try, but I am exhausted. I am tired, and and I try to do these shows on a daily basis because it's entertaining for me, and not only for me but for everyone else who watches. And thank you for those who do watch and those who rewatch. I truly appreciate you guys so much. But how long am I going to be able to be doing this? I don't know, especially if I come into having surgery, hopefully soon. I'm gonna have to go on hiatus for a little bit just to recuperate. There'll be a time that I'll come on from time to time, and maybe I'll do some kind of like psychic show so we could get some readings done, and maybe get back into doing that. I've been focusing a lot on the Pokemon, and that's been such a gem for me. It's been nice having to go and collect again, and get back into a hobby that I like. I used to love collecting cards when I was young, and now as an adult, I collect, but I'm not collecting for me. I'm collecting for my niece, and down the line when she gets older, I will surprise her with what I have. But I'm going to sell what I have. I'm not gonna literally just give it to her. I'm gonna sell it and then buy her a vehicle with what I accumulate from now until 13, 14 years from now, and I hope to be alive to to witness everything and to be a part of it, because I think it's going to be a big help for her. And she doesn't know. She's only 4 years old, but that's me being a psychic and me seeing into the future. And I wish a lot of people can do that, but not a lot of people don't. But let's go ahead and see what we're gonna get here first. Okay, let's go ahead and set this up here. I'm already having audio problems. You already know I'm already having audio problems. I just started the show and it's already signs telling me that I'm having audio issues. So we're gonna do our best on this show, like we always do, and let's watch and see what's up.
Reversal day that we had. If you looked at yesterday, late afternoon into the evening, you were thinking, okay, it was going to be a deep, deep red day. And even in the morning, it was looking like that. I mean, oil futures hitting about 119 a barrel at the top. And then all of a sudden a reversal came, and not just a little 5% correction, 10%. What about more than 30% correction here? We want to talk all about this. It's a truly fascinating day. Let's bring in our next guest to help break it all down. Denton Zinquigrana, great to have you on with Oil Price Information Service. And we were talking at the break, what a fascinating day this has been.
Yeah, it really has, Mike. And like you described, that's exactly what it was. You know, you see when the market opens last night, you're like, all right, $100, here we are. Then it just keeps going, gets up to almost $120 for both WTI and Brent. You know, you get back to the desk in the morning, you're still over $100, you know, 105, 106. And then the floor just dropped this afternoon. Now, for WTI, we're back in the 80s now, high 80s. I don't think we're out of the woods just yet, but man, what a day.
And tell our viewers, okay, what started that initial drop down with the prices coming down? What news was dictating this?
Yeah, I think it really kind of coincided with the stock market, you know, kind of making its rally here late in the afternoon when the president said it looks like this is just about over. So again, we're not out of the woods yet. We have to still wait and see if this truly is over. But again, if we're making our move and we can see light at the end of the tunnel, then yeah, maybe we are, you know, kind of in for a period here of at least stable prices, not the skyrocket higher. And we may not have a significant drop lower. We might stick here in the 80s for a little bit of time here.
Yeah, I mean, to see just what we were looking at on Saturday evening with the images coming out of Iran, Israel going after their oil fields, and you were thinking, okay, yeah, this 115, 120, very feasible, maybe even 150, and then we are seeing this huge pullback.
Yeah, because we don't get our
right.
oil from there.
You know, you make a great point.
We don't get gas from there.
Seen so far. We've also seen some countries in the Middle East have to pull back on production because, as we talked about recently, if ships can't go through the Strait of Hormuz, then you don't have ships to fill, taking oil from the terminals, etc. So storage fills up, and it all backs into the system, and then you're going to have to see some production shut in, and which we have. The question we have is, as those fields need to come back, you know, you wonder. And again, I'm not an engineer, but could some of those wells have been damaged in the hasty shutdown? Because hey, we have to shut these down quick. Could there have been some damage? Did we lose, 5% after off a certain field, for example? That's something we'll know over the next several weeks if this is indeed over.
Yeah, no doubt about that. Coming up here in moments, we are going to be taking President Trump remarks. What do you think the market is going to be really looking at? What does he need to say to even help bring those prices even lower?
Yeah, I think some things that can be done, particularly for retail gasoline prices. So there's been some talk of a relief of the Jones Act. So if you're not familiar with the Jones Act is a piece of maritime law that says any ship going from one port in the United States to another port in the United States. So let's say from Houston to Port Canaveral on the west coast of Florida. Or actually South Florida. Sorry about that. I'm getting all my geography mixed up here. But that ship has to be built in the United States, manned by a U.S. crew, and flagged in the United States. Those shipping rates tend to be more expensive than an internationally flagged shipping vessel. So if they waive the Jones Act, you would have just more competitive shipping rates. That would help bring down prices. Some other things that they could do is a gas tax holiday. You may remember in 2022, several states did that as prices were skyrocketing after the Russian invasion of Ukraine. And the third thing is the EPA can relax gasoline standards going into the summer. The formulation for gasoline changes. It becomes a little bit harder and a little bit more expensive to make. If we keep winter grade specifications longer, you could take some components that go into making gasoline that are actually cheaper and use them at a higher percentage, which would bring the overall blend down.
And Denton, lastly here, I want to talk about a little bit more gas prices on the consumer level. So many people always have questions about that. Right now, as we speak, we are lower right now than we were on Friday's crude oil prices. But we saw 50 to 60 cent spikes in gasoline prices, and we're not seeing that adjustment happening right now when it was lower on Friday. Why is it so high? Why is it so fast to skyrocket gas
Yeah,
prices?
it makes
but
zero
takes
sense.
so long to come on
The
back down
price
to
going
reality.
up so fast like that.
Yeah, it's the whole rocket and feather theory, right? So when you consider what a retail station has to do, and they see, they have some gasoline inventory, they see prices going up. Their replacement costs are obviously going to go up. So they're
Yeah,
trying
but
to
why?
keep up with their
We don't get
replacement
our
costs.
hold on. I
And
gotta pause
so
this.
as those replacement
Listen, we don't get our fucking gas or oil from Iran. We don't get it from over that side of the world. We have our own freaking oil fields and our own fucking oil offshore, and we got now Venezuela. So it just makes zero sense for the price from overnight. Literally, it was $2.99 yesterday. Let me make myself big. It was $2.99 yesterday. That was the price of the gas here. It went up overnight 51 cents. That's right. It went from $2.99 to $3.50 a gallon here in Connecticut. And how the hell do you justify that without even like? First of all, they're putting up the prices on gas that already been purchased by the gas stations. So their gas that they have already in their tanks, well, that's already paid for at a certain price point. But now the gas stations are being very slick and jacking up the prices by 50 cents overnight. I think that should be illegal. There should be an investigation, and I think these gas stations should definitely drop their prices overnight again, because you don't get to dictate the prices and just jump it up 50 cents because of what you're seeing in the media or what you're seeing in the news. No, you jack up the price when you get the slip, when you have to pay for that delivery, and that delivery is a certain price. Well, then that's where you jack up the price, but you don't jack it up by like 50 cents. It just makes zero sense. And I hope that there's an investigation into this, and I hope it goes far and beyond, because I feel like a lot of Americans are being ripped off and price gouged, and they should investigate that. So let's go back to the story here.
replacements come down, they restore some of their margin in selling retail gasoline, and then things sort of even out. So it's kind of a quick down and dirty on how that kind of rocket and feather with retail gasoline prices do work. Now, right now the average is right around $3.50. If we stick here for a little while, we could start to plateau, maybe a few pennies higher than where we are nationally. But again, if everything stops and just kind of reverses a little bit, then yeah, I think maybe the worst is over. But if we're not out of the woods yet, I thought earlier today $4 could be in the cards by the end of the week nationally. If we kind of continue back on the
zero
show we were on
sense.
last night and earlier this morning, yeah, that's still a
No,
possibility
this is
by the end of the week.
they're playing with
But
us.
a lot to be
The
determined.
gas prices should not be soaring high like that.
It really is. I always say, if you don't like the price now, just wait a little bit. It
It makes zero sense. I'm sorry.
It's kind of like the weather.
Absolutely.
No,
Denton,
you see, these are opportunistic. That's what's going on right now, and I feel like they're double dipping into the system, and they're just taking the money off of everyday individuals that have to put gas in their cars, right, to get to places. And the fact that they just jacked up the prices from $2.99 all the way to $3.50, and now they're talking about the end of the week $4. How do you justify that? And how do you jack up the prices like that if we already have gas and oil in our country that we're not in short of supply? We have plenty of gas, we have plenty of oil, so why are the prices being jacked up the way they are? There needs to be an investigation into that. That's bullshit. But we're gonna go ahead and set up for the next video here, and let's go ahead and watch. First, let's go ahead and put the volume up on it. That'll help.
The parents of one of the alleged ISIS-loving teens who tried to detonate an IED near Gracie Mansion owns a gorgeous $2.25 million home.
What?
A sign they seized the American dream after arriving from Afghanistan decades ago, the Post has learned. Alleged bomber Yumi's family home spans 5,800 square feet with 6 bedrooms and 5 bathrooms in scenic Newtown, Pennsylvania, records show.
Where they get the money from? Look at these idiots.
Was 19 years old, and his friend Amir Balat, who was 18, traveled from their Bucks County enclave to attend a counter-protest against right-wing nut Jake Lang's anti-Muslim protest outside the mayor's residence.
We're gonna make sure Mandami knows that he's not welcome in New York City.
The pair allegedly hurled homemade bombs packed with a volatile explosive favored by international terrorists known as Mother of Satan.
Right in front of the police, too.
Dramatic viral video captured the moment Balat threw an IED as he came up behind a speaker addressing a small crowd outside the Upper East Side mansion. In the panic and confusion, Walter Masterson, a comedian and actor who had been speaking to the group, stops talking.
They're just standing there. How about that shit would have exploded?
The alleged improvised explosive device. Luckily, no injuries were reported. The duo were arrested following the alleged attempted attack. An NYPD commissioner, Jessica Tisch, said the act was being investigated as an act of terrorism. Balat, whose parents hailed from Turkey and became naturalized U.S. citizens in 2017, where they live in an idyllic 3,200 square foot house worth $653,000, flashed a Sikh salute honoring ISIS as he was led in shackles from a police precinct Monday.
What a fucking idiot.
He was seen holding up his right index finger, a universal salute for the terror group, and grinning at the press while being led by a cop and an FBI
They need to make an example out of him.
ISIS fighters have often used the index finger gesture in their propaganda. The gesture is also used by many Muslims to demonstrate their commitment to monotheism. Law enforcement sources told the Post that one of 2 suspects used the Arabic expression Allahu Akbar, God is great, following their police interview, and one of them has asked for their lawyer.
Fucking idiots. Fucking idiots. All right, let's keep it moving. Benny King.
Breaking. In response to Trump's statement about opening the Strait of Hormuz, the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps said any Arab or European country that expels the Israeli and American ambassadors from its territory will be granted full authorization and freedom of passage through the Strait of Hormuz starting tomorrow. So as I've told you guys, the Strait of Hormuz has been closed. They're letting China through, a little bit of India, but it's pretty much shut down. Now, I'm going to do a whole update on the Strait of Hormuz, but this essentially is trying to isolate the United States from the rest of the world. And I mean the entire world. If they were to expel all the ambassadors, and this is very tempting because right now, oil is spiking through the roof to historic numbers that we're going to be seeing. Like, I mean,
but it's dropping.
It's insane. I'm going to do an update. I got to go fully in depth
She
with
needs
that.
to do another update because
But
it's dropping
all areas of life.
oil
Oil
prices.
affects everything. And not only that, guys, you have to think about this is about to affect food prices. And many countries right now are running short on oil to the point where it is a economic disaster all around the world. So if they were to expel all of the ambassadors from the US and Israel, well, that is putting us in an isolated position, meaning these are our allies. So what will happen if that actually takes place? We've got to wait and see. But what are they responding to? Let me show you what they're responding to. All right. Take a listen.
So, Brian, you did a phone interview with the president of the United States. What is his read on this?
So I asked him, how do you get the prices down? I know how much you care about oil and gas. And he says, tell these tankers to get to it. We've wiped out most of their launchers. Here's exactly what he said. These ships should go through the Strait of Hormuz and show some guts. There's nothing to be afraid of. They have no navy. We sunk all their ships. He went on to say, he said, look, yeah, there's risk in the region. The region's volatile. They are launchers. There's just about 150 left. That's just about 20% of totals. They can't regenerate. They can't make any more. And we are in the region ready to act quickly on all these type of attacks. Now, I think they're going to get some additional naval assets in there to do some escorting. But there was a tanker that came through yesterday.
Successfully.
Successfully. No problem. And he's saying, come on, guys, get to it.
But understand, where was that tanker from? Because they are letting certain countries go through, but it's very, very limited. All right. And no one wants to take that risk. And in fact, they're not insured. So if something happens to their ships, there's no insurance. And we're talking about hundreds of millions of dollars of oil and fertilizer. Guys, there's just it's insane. So no one's going to take that risk because, and in fact, if Iran has said, if they are waiting for the Navy to show up, they've been waiting and they are hoping that they show up. Because if you understand it, once again, I'm going to go through the Strait of Hormuz for you to understand this is not as simply, hey, take the risk. Nothing will happen to you. We'll try to help you. That is impossible right now. And I just have to give it to you straight. I don't like if you're just getting your information from the mainstream media, you're not going to get these details. That is absolute. There's a reason why no one is going through. And just saying that one ship has gone through, there's been a couple of ships that have gone through actually. But again, which ships are they allowing? And it's about 95% shut off for the entire world. But let's continue. So this says Donald Trump said the war in Iran was very complete after an hour-long phone call with Vladimir Putin. I'm not going to go into all the details of this. Okay, but they're signaling that it's complete, but it's not. There hasn't been a regime change. There's a lot of things, and we are getting pummeled in some of these areas. And Iran is not going to stop. I've told you they see this as a holy war. We've taken out their Ayatollah. The time for, diplomacy, well, that has ended. Okay. And now they are talking about troops on the ground. People are upset about a draft. I just posted a video about this that I did last year in December when I found out new information about an automatic draft and what was going on with that. You got to watch that video. But this is important to take note of. I want you to look at this. This is President Putin orders Russian government to evaluate halting energy supplies to Europe because Europe said that they were going to cut off Russia. Right? I think April of 2027, they're going to cut off all oil from Russia. But now that the world is in dire straits of needing oil, well, he's like, let's just go ahead and hurry it up. Since they wanted to separate themselves from us and we're the only ones that they can really get this oil from now, well, let's go ahead and bleed them dry.
That EU countries from 25th of April plan to impose additional restrictions on Russian LNG and energy, all the way to imposing a complete ban on such supplies in 2028. In this regard, I've already instructed the government to evaluate the possibility of stopping energy supplies to the European market without waiting for the door to be shut in our face. And those volumes will be shifted to other markets that are more interesting and promising to us. Right now, the market situation is developing in such a way that if we make this transition right now, if we shift to markets that really need increased supplies, we will get a stable foothold there in markets where there is reliable demand and where there are reliable long-term relations. The states that are building long-term relations with Russia, constructive relationships with Russia.
Sorry, and I said 2027, but 2028, but Putin's like, we're going to do it now. And again, this comes on the heels of him having an hour-long conversation with President Trump. Now, we've actually lifted some sanctions on them to allow India to get oil from Russia. All right. So there was a sanction, there was a ban on this oil, but now they're allowing this to go through for India. We saw the administration did this last week, which this was a non-negotiable before. But why now are they doing this, right? They are planning to bleed out all of Europe because remember, Russia has its own intentions. China has cut off all oil exporting out of their refineries. They're putting a stoppage to that. Several other countries are doing the same thing. They're no longer exporting to other countries because even though the crude oil maybe comes from Iran all the way to China. Well, then they refine it in China, and then that oil goes out to other places, right? So it's not refined in Iran. But now China says we're not sending out any of the oil that has been refined here in China for these other countries. Are you understanding how this is all playing out and setting up for guys, this is really, really important that you get this. So, but look at this. This is wild. Okay. Iran won't surrender, and fighting until regime collapse may not be in our interest, says Israeli official. And that was the entire purpose of this war. Well, sorry, military operation was so that there was regime change. But no, they're not. Iran is firing back as hard as possible. They don't care if their Navy ships are taken out. They don't care if these different things are taken out. They are saying this. Look at this. Actually, before I show you what they're saying, it says U.S. is evacuating its Air Force tankers from its Saudi Arabia base after intense attacks last night. These tankers had been supporting bombing operations in Iran, and now they've been evacuated to Europe out of the Prince Sultan Air Base. Now look at this. Iran just issued its most direct economic threat of this war. If you can tolerate oil more than $200 a barrel, continue this game. Let's put $200 oil in real terms. Gas at the pump will be $8 to $10. Diesel, $12 plus. Every product shipped by truck in America gets more expensive overnight. Airlines grounded our tickets at $3,000 minimum. Heating oil, plastics, fertilizer, medicine, everything. Oil is already at $110, up from $65 1 week ago.
Yeah, but now it's at 88.
Warning
so
it hits 150.
I don't know if she's
Qatar warning it hits $150
she's doing her,
within
this
days.
was probably
of
earlier
Gulf
she recorded
exporters'
this.
This is all coming from the Strait of Hormuz.
But the price
Iran
of
isn't
oil
bluffing.
went down to
They
$88 a
control the
barrel.
Strait. They said they decide when it ends. So even though they're saying that President Trump is saying this is nearly complete and we're ahead of schedule, he said in another clip, oh, this is going to be over. This is going to be over. But a lot of people are saying, just declaring that while Iran is still going to be doing their bombing campaign, this war, they're going to continue the war regardless. And they're going to keep expanding it, especially, they said they will allow, again, I want to go back to the first thing I told you. They said any countries essentially cutting off the U.S., kicking out the ambassadors of the U.S. and Israel,
I'm
we
not gonna
will
push
allow
the
your
fear.
tankers to go through.
Yo,
What do you think
Rob,
those
how you
countries
doing,
are going
man?
to do when they're bleeding out financially right now and they are in economic crisis? Japan's market they're about to
Wow.
go into economic collapse over this. We're talking
Yeah, you guys are
Thailand.
doing good with the
every
gas.
single
Over here,
country.
the fear mongering and people
Trump
are
told merchant
price
sailors
gouging
to
here
show some guts.
with the gas. It went
Iran
from
told Trump
$2.99
what guts will cost you.
to $3.50 a
$200 a
gallon
barrel. The
overnight,
five deferment president, the five
which I think is
deferment
a
president started
big-time
a war.
ripoff.
Okay, saying that he has no idea to end. This is just translated from this, so we're not going to play it because it's not really in English. So here we go. It says, Aziza, chairman of the National Security Commission of Iran, we have lifted the restrictions on the range of missiles. For many years, we have shown restraint, but today we no longer impose any restrictions on ourselves. All right. Now this is wild. So I got to see what time it is right now in Israel over in the Middle East. But our daytime is their nighttime, that type of thing. Breaking. IRGC send warning to Israel that from tonight, they will no longer launch small rockets, but the heaviest rockets in their arsenal. The era of light sub-rocket has ended. Starting tonight, Israel will know our true power in destruction. We will no longer launch such rockets, but only steel monsters carrying more than a ton of explosive in each warhead. The heaviest rockets in the Revolutionary Guard's arsenal are now directed at the heart of the country, and they are on their way to cause unprecedented destruction.
I
And we
don't know.
know there
There's a
is a
lot of
blockage of the
propaganda
media really
bullshit
coming
going
out of
on.
there. Individuals, this is
Fear
alleged. I
mongering. That's
don't
what
have
it is.
confirmation, but a lot of people are reporting this, that if you take a video
And
and,
you know,
and put
Melody,
it out
she
on
gets
social
sometimes
media or
lost in the
share it,
sauce.
that it's automatically 5 years in prison. I can't confirm that, but you're
How
not
you
seeing a
doing,
lot of
Rob?
footage
You
come
doing
out.
good out
I'm
there?
having to go to back
Up the coast?
channels in other countries. There's some
I
on
gotta go out there.
Telegram, things like that. I
I
haven't
go see
shared
Mount
most of them because
Rushmore.
I want to make sure things aren't AI, but you're seeing from multiple sources what is happening over in Israel, and it's been pretty bad so far. But now they're saying that was light work. That was our cheap stuff. That was our baby stuff. Now we're going to hit you with the real things. And even with that, what I said, what Israel was saying, that what did I put here? Here it is. Iran won't surrender, and fighting until regime collapse may not be in our best interest, says Israeli official. They don't say things like that if they were not getting hit pretty hard right now. So there's more. OMG, ultra big news. Global powers like China, Russia, and France are burning up the phone lines to Tehran, pushing for a ceasefire. Iran's response? We're just defending ourselves. Why should we stop while the threat remains? Now, I want to include this. It says Iran does not want to harm ordinary Americans who overwhelmingly voted to end involvement in costly foreign wars, says Iran's FM Abbas Arachi. I don't know how to pronounce his name, but he's saying,
I
listen, we
don't
don't
believe
want to
that
hurt
guy for
ordinary
nothing.
Americans who didn't want any more foreign wars, but we're going to have to do what we have to do. And this is all the things that that are coming out right now. There's a lot, but you've got to weed through. This puts the US in a horrible position.
No, it doesn't.
Horrible position. And I'm a realist,
Come on,
guys. I told you I'm not going to give you.
Listen, I'm not going to continue with the fear mongering. Like, the United States is not in no horrible position. We are very okay. And the fact that our gas prices are going up, you could tell is a very something democratic is going on behind the scenes, because and especially in democratic states. Because here in Connecticut, I'm telling you right now, the gas, I put gas, it was $2.99 the very fucking next day. Literally less than 12 hours? Less than 12 hours, it jumped to 50 cents to $3.50. How can that doesn't make any sense? How can they raise up the prices on gas that they already have in their tanks, and they just balloon the price like that without even paying for the next delivery, the next service that's coming in, whatever they're gonna fill up? How can you just raise up the prices like that? Like, there needs to be an investigation on that, and I'm not gonna let that slip, because I know a couple of people in the government, and I'm gonna bring this up to them. I was like, how is this right? How is this fair? To me, I feel like this is price gouging, and the fact that they can just get away with it and nothing happens, no more. I'm not gonna let this rust. So we're gonna go ahead and continue on with Liberal Hive Mind. So let's go ahead and put this up for us.
Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hive Mind, a channel solely focused on exposing the abundant hypocrisy of the left. And of course, here's the meme of the day brought to you by
Democrat. I know.
All right, so this is a video that's kind of long in the making. I've been meaning to get around to tackling this topic, but of course the news cycle moves so quickly. We're always distracted by some brand new shiny event. This particular topic, this question has been at the back of my mind for a very long time, especially after all the fraud in Minnesota and other big Democrat states by particular communities was exposed. I've been wanting to tackle smuggle this concept that we've heard for decades. You know, for years we heard all these fancy left-wing economists tell us, they lecture us. From their ivy towers, they warned us that the continent was aging. Birth rates are falling to unsustainable lows. Our native population is no longer having children, and so the pension systems are thus likely to collapse because there's not enough workers to feed into them. The only way that we could get the whole machine running again was to import millions of foreign workers. And of course, the part that most people overlooked, these workers that were coming to supposedly save us from economic calamity were mostly from third world non-compatible nations and cultures. You know, we've had success with a lot of groups of people. I think of Filipinos in nursing, for instance. That's been a relatively successful immigration mandate. We're getting top quality nurses. Mostly the people coming in are Catholic, they're devout, they're law-abiding, they pay taxes, yada yada. It's been pretty solid. But in the latest stages of mass migration, we haven't had the right to be selective. Now, what's been pushed upon us is any and everyone from anywhere. Just open the damn floodgates. It's an absolute necessity, or Social Security will collapse. Your elderly parents won't have health care. They won't have a security net to fall into. It's an absolute must. And you know what? This, my friends, has been possibly one of the biggest scams perpetrated, policy scams, that is, in the modern day. They told you to shut up, stop asking questions, to simply accept demographic transformation as some kind of economic necessity, oppose it, and that makes you a racist, doubt it, and that makes you an unintellectual frickin' rube. You're stupid and don't understand the economic situation. But the whole thing was a lie. Well, let's talk about it, shall we? We got some stuff to get into. So let's roll the tape. All right, folks, so I guess the question I'm asking myself is, when does all of this come true? Because we've been fed this lie for, 30 years at this point? It's been at least 3 decades. Shut up, bigot. We need these people for the economy. But it's been 30 years, and the standard of living for your average American, and frankly for your average person in the West, has declined significantly. There's now talks of a permanent renter class. Not to mention, it was all about balancing the budget, right? We need to be able to afford these programs. We're more in debt now than we ever were. And again, we have to focus on the entire West because the model is being practiced everywhere and the same thing is happening everywhere. Just look north of the border. 10 years ago, before Justin Trudeau and all of those far left policies, before the complete demographic shift of Canada, real mass migration, frankly, even far beyond what you're seeing in Europe, well, the Canadian dollar used to be strong. You'd regularly see government spending surpluses. And now after 10 years of mass importation of cheap labor and replacing your young students with foreign imports, they're running multi-billion-dollar deficits. Not to mention the healthcare system is collapsing. All the systems, all the programs that needed to be protected, that needed to be saved by mass importation of cheap third world labor, everything has gotten verifiably worse. You could even argue the whole thing is freaking collapsing. It's falling apart. And that's because the entire premise since day one has been a lie. Maybe if you have very limited immigration, where you're targeting only the most compatible and most productive groups of people, the theory could actually work, but in its current state, it makes no freaking sense, and it never did. And the warnings have been there since the 1990s. I actually have this video that I found from the 1990s where they were basically sounding the alarm.
Parody of what happens if immigration goes unchecked. What are your views on it personally?
What's fascinating about this subject, and it's one of the things that's touched upon in the movie The Second Civil War, is that you cannot even discuss this subject without being considered a racist in this country. And the immigration policy in the United States is the most liberal in the world. 800,000 people a year enter the United States legally, 900,000, and maybe another 200,000 or 300,000 illegally. And no other country tolerates that kind of illegal immigration or that kind of mass influx through their borders. But it's only going to heat up because we're not discussing it. Do you know that in the next 5 years, over $1 billion a year in entitlements is going to be given through Social Security to foreigners who have immigrated to this country and not put so much as a dime into the system? The United States, as much as anything, the government of this country is a corporation that oversees a multiplicity of other corporations. And immigration, illegal and otherwise, is good for business. That's why it isn't stopped, in my opinion. Every immigrant, they are consumers. They pay sales tax, even if they don't necessarily pay income tax.
Right.
And they feed the system.
And that's exactly it. That is the part that they never wanted people to say out loud. The whole thing was marketed as some sort of grand economic rescue plan. We were told that these people were coming into work and they were going to fill those labor shortages. They were going to sustain the welfare state, keep the pensions solvent. But fast forward a few decades and the systems are going broke, because the argument initially was that we need them to pay into the system, but it ended up being completely backwards. We're actually paying them, even though they've never paid into the system. Right as they come in, they're a net drain, a net negative on the system. And this was initially understood. But again, this la-di-da left-wing argument all the time that comes in, this left-wing naivete, things just magically work themselves out, right? That seems to be the argument on the left all the time. Oh, well, you got to give it some time. It takes time for these communities to settle. And eventually, after being a net drain for maybe X amount of years, at some point, they'll flip into the positive and then it'll all be worth it. Again, 30 years later, where's that positive? We're doing the analysis on the Somali immigration issue. For instance, 80% of the population is on welfare in some sort of capacity. We're talking a total net drain. And it's the same thing pretty much across the board when it comes to cheap labor from particular regions of the world. It's a net drain for decades. And yet the left keeps lying and lying and lying. They say, well, illegal immigrants, they commit less crime than native-born citizens. This is a total fallacy, by the way. But then they take it to the next level and say, and not only that, but they're net taxpayer contributors. But this again is a lie. We've analyzed this using government data. They account for less than $100 billion in tax contributions. I think federally, what was it, like 40-something billion? But they're an estimated net drain on the system as a whole. This is all illegal migrants, anywhere from 150 billion to 450 billion. Not to mention remittance payments, which clearly don't help in terms of keeping dollars flowing domestically. It's an absolute disaster. And we're now seeing the results. We had a Netherlands study that was just released in 2024, and the study essentially found large negative lifetime net contributions for several origin regions tied heavily to asylum or low-skill migration streams. That's including Morocco, Turkey, North Africa, and Afghanistan, Iran, Syria, and Iraq region, showing that on average, people from these parts of the world were a net drain in the multiple hundreds of thousands of euros, all the way up to close to €1 million per person. The question becomes, what the hell are we doing? How does it make sense to run a country like this? When you're implementing policy, in my view, what needs to be at the forefront of thought is, does this work? Is it beneficial for us? But it seems we always lead with these emotional, feelings and narratives, emotions superseding common sense and what's best for the nation. This sort of naivete that we're going to get the same results from everyone. All groups of people are equal. All cultures compatible. Any red flags from particular communities, well, that's just fear-mongering. You're leading with fear. Well, fear is a rational response in a lot of cases. Fear sometimes comes from a point of logic, perception, noticing, patterns, pattern recognition. They said you're a racist. Shut up, bigot. Don't you want to eat shawarma? Ooh, think about that shawarma platter with the frickin' white sauce drenched all on top. Isn't it worth it? Well, I don't frickin' know, honestly. I don't know anymore. I mean, look at what we're dealing with. This just happened in New York.
Look at this craziness. Look at this shit. People are just
just a casual video of a man screaming Allah Akbar as he throws a homemade explosive device, what appears to be some sort of an improvised nail bomb. Don't you love mud diversity?
Yeah,
don't you love
great.
Vibrant modern city culture? No, I don't.
Like
I don't think the shawarma is worth the frickin' pipe bombs. And we see the warning signs. We see what happens. Look at Europe. Sweden's dealing with frickin' grenade gangs. You got grooming gangs in the UK. You got young girls who can't walk around Paris without getting accosted or assaulted in the streets. It doesn't really feel like cultural enrichment. It feels like severe policy disaster and a massive lie that was told. And on top of all the cultural issues, we've got a whole slew of economic issues as well. I mean, it's all become too much. Look at the fraud that's being perpetrated in the billions of dollars. Look at the parallel economies, the cultural clan structures. We're now having conversations of Sharia districts, Sharia courts. Why is that a political issue? Why did we subject ourselves to that when we should be focused not on thwarting the rise of Sharia, but increasing the standard of living of your average American citizen by a measurable amount? It's all just totally out of whack, and it needs to be realigned and reformed. The outlook is broken. We're leading with ideology. We're leading with feels good naivete instead of what's good for the country and its people. We're walking down a very dangerous path, and if we don't stop it soon, if we don't get in the way, well, it might be too late to reverse the clock, to turn back. The entire premise that the Western world based its immigration policy on for the last 2-3 decades was built on a lie, and we've been on that road for 30 freaking years. But we're now facing a cliff, and the question is, do we stop, do we turn, or do we just keep on driving along and end up in that frickin' ditch? I think managing those kinds of issues is well above my pay grade, but at least I made my stance clear. At least my conscience is clean. Mass migration has been an utter disaster. And once again, the lefty economists who look down upon us, who wagged their fingers and lectured us. Don't you trust the science, bro? I did the math. Oh, you want a bajillion Somalis and Moroccans? Trust me, bro. It's going to work out great. It appears these lefty losers were once again totally and utterly wrong. Or some may say full of frickin' shit. Anyways, that's what I got. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.
Okay, so let's go ahead and bring it back to me, because I'm just checking out some videos here, see if there's anything worthwhile. I guess there's let me just pull up a couple of videos here. See. I know that Mandani idiot, he couldn't condemn what these two idiots did. He couldn't condemn them. He couldn't say anything negative about them. He went and talked bad about the guy who was protesting out there with the goat. But didn't say shit about the terror attack that just fucking happened right outside his mansion. And the fact that, like, Mandani's just a piece of shit. We just know this for a fact. I don't know how, and I don't know why he's still mayor of New York. Like, did he truly get elected, or was there fraudulent activity to get him to become mayor of New York? Which I believe that the mayor pool, the voting lists, it's all tainted. It's just they don't clean up the rolls. There's people that are dead, that have been dead for decades, that are still on the voters' roll in New York City. So help me make that make sense, because it truly doesn't make sense to me. But the fact that they're just parading this Mandani guy like he's like, I don't know, man. I just can't. I'm like, I'm at the point that I'm just like, it just, to me, we live in hell, and I truly believe this. We live in hell. We're praying and hoping to get into heaven. If this is not heaven, then we're in hell. We're in hell. And if we're trying to get to heaven, we're praying for Jesus to come to us. So that means he's not here. So what is here? Okay. We could have fun talking about that. I tell you right now, prove me wrong. I believe we live in hell. And everything we do, we get judged at the end. And then at the end, they'll say, okay, you get to move on, or you get to go back to hell and relive your life all over again, which many people have had done already, and they're reliving their lives in this crazy hell we're living in. Let's go ahead and watch this video here, because this is our great President Trump.
The representatives in this room provided the pivotal votes in securing a record $1 trillion for the United States military this year. And now The world is witnessing the importance of that investment with one of the most complex and stunning operations ever conducted, and that's Operation Epic Fury. That's a great name, isn't it? Epic Fury. That's even better than Midnight Hammer, which was pretty good too, right? That was where we knocked out their nuclear potential. That was a big day because if we didn't do that, they would have had a nuclear weapon within 2 weeks. And I think we'd be in a lot different situation. And then you had, of course, what they did in Venezuela, how that was just so far so good. We've done a real job. We've got all good ones. If you go back and you look at Afghanistan with Biden, one of the worst, I think the most embarrassing moment in the history of our country. If you look at what happened with Jimmy Carter, also with Iran, but if you look at what happened with the helicopters and the hostages, it cost them the
1579.
What a mess. The world respects us right now more than they have ever respected us before. Believe that. And because of Republicans, you people in Congress, the United States has by far the strongest and most powerful military on the face of the earth. We're the strongest military anywhere in the earth. And now everybody understands it. Together with our Israeli partners, we're crushing the enemy in an overwhelming display of technical skill and military force. Iran's drone and missile capability is being utterly demolished. The Navy is gone. It's all lying at the bottom of the ocean. 46 ships. Can you believe it? In fact, I got a little upset with our people. I said, what quality of ship? Excellent, sir. Top of the line. I said, why didn't we just capture the ship? We could have used it. Why did we sink them? They said, it's more fun to sink them. I said, they like sinking them better. They say it's safer to sink them. I guess it's probably true. But think of it. We knocked out 46. It actually took 3.5 days. Their terrorist leaders are gone. We're counting down the minutes until they will be gone. Think of it. We had leaders and they're gone. Then we had new leaders and they're gone. And now nobody has any idea who the people are that are going to be the head of the country, and will not relent until the enemy is totally and decisively defeated. As
I don't know why I went silent there. I don't know why I went silent. So we're going to keep it moving. It's kind of...
Thank you so much.
Go ahead.
Do you approve of Iran's new supreme leader? And secondly, can you tell us more about your call with Russian President Vladimir Putin today?
Yes.
What did you discuss?
Yes, I had a very good call with President Putin. We had a lot of people on the line from our side, from his side. We were talking about Ukraine, which is just a never-ending fight. And look, there's tremendous hatred between President Putin and President Zelensky. They can't seem to get it together. But I think it was a positive call on that subject. And we obviously talked then about the Middle East. And he wants to be helpful. I said, you could be more helpful by getting the Ukraine-Russia war over with. That would be more helpful. But we had a very good talk, and he wants to be very constructive. Yeah, please. Yeah, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. On Iran, you called it an excursion. You said it would be over soon. Are you thinking this week it will be over?
No,
You're talking
but soon.
about days?
I think so.
Okay, and with respect
Very
to
soon. Look, everything they have is gone, including their leadership. In fact, there are 2 levels of leadership, and even actually, as it turns out, more than that. But 2 levels of leadership are gone. Most people have never even heard about the leaders that they're talking about. So it's obviously been very, very powerful, very effective.
to Cuba, you said that Cuba wants to make a deal.
Yes.
What would the United States get in return for that? And why should Americans trust Marco Rubio to negotiate it?
Well, Marco Rubio is doing a great job. I think he's going to go down as the greatest Secretary of State in history. Look at what we've done as a presidency. Look at what we've done as an administration. They trust Marco, and so do the American people trust. He's been successful no matter where he's been. He also speaks the language, which is always nice and always helpful. but he's dealing, and it may be a friendly takeover. It may not be a friendly takeover. It wouldn't matter because they're down to, as they say, fumes. They have no energy. They have no.
Yeah, we need to help Cuba,
They're
man.
in deep trouble on a humanitarian basis.
We definitely need to help Cuba.
And we don't want to see that, but they were very, very
It'd be
bad
nice
to a
if
lot
it
of
would have
people,
became
as
a
you know,
fucking
and a lot of
state,
people
man.
living the Cuban American vote, which I got.
Cuba is
record
very
levels.
beautiful. We don't
Very
see
important.
much
Those
of
people
Cuba,
are very important to me. I know
but I'm
what they
telling
went
you.
through. They went through hell.
And
Some
they
of them
were-
have gone on to be
Cuba?
some of the most successful people in the country.
It's so
Cuban
freaking
American
beautiful. Their
business people.
beaches,
Some of them
oh
are
my
like
God.
the most successful in the country, and a lot of them are friends of mine
And the
because I've been
culture.
fighting this
The
battle with
culture
them for a
in-
long
in
time.
Cuba?
The Castro
Oh.
regime was brutal, but they lived off Venezuela. Now they don't live off Venezuela. Sends them no energy, no fuel, no oil, no money, no nothing. They lived without
my
Venezuela.
stepfather
They
is
couldn't have made
Cuban.
it, and we cut them off from
And
everything else.
my
So,
step-grandparents
yeah,
are Cuban
they're going to make
from the island.
either a deal or
came
we'll do it just as
on the
easy
boat.
anyway. Yeah,
They came in
please
through the flotilla.
Tomahawk missile likely destroyed that Iranian girls' school. So will the U.S. accept any responsibility?
Well, I
for that
haven't seen
strike?
it. And I will say that the Tomahawk, which is one of the most powerful weapons around, is used by, is sold and used by other countries. You know that. And whether it's Iran, who also has some Tomahawks, they wish they had more. But whether it's Iran or somebody else, the fact that a Tomahawk is very generic. It's sold to other countries. But that's being investigated right now.
Okay. Well, let's keep it moving.
Well, thank you for your ballot, good citizen. I'll just run that through our vote counting software. Scan your marks, change
Oh,
this
no.
D to a B, dot the I, and it's gone.
Oh, Lord. Are you kidding me?
What's up, guys? It's Benny. The single worst night of my life professionally was the 2020 election night results that I was watching from inside of the Donald Trump election night victory party. This was in the Trump Hotel in Washington, D.C., his official party held just down the street from the White House. And this, ladies and gentlemen, was the result that sent a chill through the room when Joe Biden stunningly was called as the victor in Arizona.
Big get for the Biden campaign. It's also
Here's the moment.
signals that it's a good night
Here's
for
the
Mark
moment.
Kelly, the Democratic Senate candidate against Martha McSally there. But Biden picking up Arizona changes the math, and it is the first of the night that goes into the column of somebody else's bucket that they thought last time
So
was going to
kind of amazing here. You can see 53-45. Fox News calling it for Joe Biden when actually the final result was 49-49. You ever checked in on these? And then Joe Biden won by like 1,000 votes. Won, right? By 1,000 votes in Arizona. What makes even less sense is not only that they would call it with all of the wrong numbers and all the wrong tabulation, but that when President Trump ran 4 years later, he won in a landslide. Isn't that fascinating? Donald Trump winning by 8 points here.
I can't believe
8 points, versus Kamala Harris.
1,582,860
And not
people
particularly
voted for that
close.
dumb bitch.
Hundreds of thousands of votes more for President Trump. An
That's
absolute-
why
I
I'm
mean,
more.
an absolute blowout, just like the rest of the
Yeah,
election.
let me make it big so you guys can see.
So many people would say this is a fair election. And so it like causes a lot of people to say like, well, wait a second, what was happening back there? Well, amazingly, something big has happened in Arizona. President Trump has announced that the FBI has secretly seized election records from Arizona's largest county, the Maricopa County. This would be the county that was so strange with its tabulation, with Dominion voting machines, and with the way that they went about their business. And here we go. The FBI expanding its criminal probe into suspected election irregularities, secretly obtaining large tranche of voting records in Arizona, largest county, recent grand jury subpoena. Multiple people familiar with the probe told Just the News. The sources who spoke on the condition of anonymity because the secrecy of the grand jury probe said the FBI are receiving terabytes of electronic data from Maricopa County, and after a month from when they seized the warehouses in Fulton County, Georgia. Oh my. After the Atlanta raid. The subpoena comes 5 years after the GOP-led Arizona State Senate conducted a lengthy investigation in 2020 and concluded there were significant irregularities. On Monday, Arizona State President Ren Peterson confirmed his body received a subpoena for the 2020 election results. Late last night, I received and compiled a federal grand jury subpoena for records the Arizona State Senate's 2020 audit. The FBI has the record. People familiar with the FBI investigation told Just the News that the Bureau has received data under a subpoena for multiple elections, 2020 and 2024. Most recently, the Bureau was alerted to the report filed by Republicans and Democratic election observers who believe they observed irregularities in the election. So, whoa. You can see the internet popping off on this one. Dominoes are falling. Of course, this comes directly after, and here is the Senate president in Arizona. This comes directly after the raid this is the Maricopa County, the Fulton County, Georgia raid. President Trump is 100% correct. Late last week, I received and complied with a federal grand jury records related to the state Senate's audit. The FBI has the records. Any other report is fake news. This is like, well, 100% official. Now this dude is the president, the Senate president in Arizona. So he's a legit guy. Again, this comes at the heels of the FBI executing a search warrant in Fulton County. For 6 years, the public still has not been able to inspect hundreds of thousands of ballots. A judge ordered the ballots inspected, and the Trump team pulled up. Tulsi Gabbard was on site specifically at President Trump's request. Gabbard outlines election security assessment, presence, Fulton County search. Why is it important that Tulsi is there?
We've got a long list of things that we're investigating. We have the best of the best going after this. Election integrity being one of them. We have evidence of how these electronic voting systems have been vulnerable to hackers for a very long time. And vulnerable to exploitation to manipulate the results of the votes being cast, which further drives forward your mandate to bring about paper ballots across the country so that voters can have faith in the integrity of our elections.
Wait a second. Tulsi Gabbard confirming that she was able to find out that election rigging machines actually changed the election totals, and this on the heels of Nicolas Maduro being black bagged by armed Delta Force members. I mean, is Nicolas Maduro giving up the ghost here? You know, all this election rigging technology is created in Venezuela. Like that's where the stuff comes from. Was it being run by our own CIA? I wouldn't put it past them. There will be a meltdown coming from Democrats real soon. Trump says FBI has seized Arizona's election records. Ladies and gentlemen, Georgia-like event with election officials. John Solomon says, Arizona State Senator, stay tuned, America. Look at this. Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem will be in Phoenix, Arizona, at the heart of Maricopa County today, as she reportedly discusses election security and the Trump administration's fight over the voter data. Oh, my. Okay. Well, wait a second. If you're sending these level of Trump administrators to Maricopa County, you've clearly found something, just like with Georgia. Again, Trump personally ordered Tulsi Gabbard to be in Georgia to monitor what was happening. John Solomon. The FBI has decided that the election history of Maricopa County is problematic. They've seized all election results as the voting probe expands. Ladies and gentlemen, what, again, are we seeing? I really think that the Maduro thing was I think it was a ruse. I think they've snatched up Maduro because he's going to sing like a canary. They grabbed his wife for leverage. I think that's what's actually happening here. And as President Trump has said, before we got them. We actually literally caught them. This is something that man should give you chills. Donald Trump at the World Economic Forum saying, no, you don't understand. We got them, we caught them in their crimes, and you'll find out soon enough what's going to happen next. Prosecutions will be coming, says Donald Trump. Here you go. We'll see what happens next.
Thousands of miles away, separated by a giant
We need
ocean.
accountability. That's what we need.
It's a war that should have never started, and it wouldn't have started if the 2020 U.S. presidential election weren't rigged. It was a rigged election. Everybody now knows that. They found out. People will soon be prosecuted for what they did. It's probably breaking news, but it should be. It was a rigged election. Can't have rigged elections. You need strong borders, strong elections, and ideally a good press. I always say it. Strong borders, strong elections, free, fair elections, and a fair media. The media is terrible. It's very crooked. It's very biased, terrible. But someday it'll straighten out because it's losing all credibility. Think of it. When I went in a landslide, a giant landslide, won all 7 swing states, won the popular vote, won everything, and they only get negative press. That means that it has no credibility. And if they're going to get credibility, they're going to have to be fair. So you need a fair press. But you also need those other elements. And I inherited a terrible, terrible situation. If you look, the border was open. The inflation was raging. Everything was bad with the United States when I came into office. But I also inherited a mess with Ukraine and Russia, something that would have never happened. And I know Putin very well. He and I would discuss Ukraine. It was the apple of his eye, but he wasn't going to do anything. I said, Vladimir, you're not doing it. He would never have done it. It was terrible what happened. I could see it happening, too. After I left, I could see it happening. Biden had given Ukraine and...
Wow. It's just crazy. Let's keep it moving. Oh, fire versus Glasgow. This is in UK. Glasgow. Major fire at a Glasgow building close to Scotland's busiest train station. Oh, yeah, Glasgow is in Scotland. But, yeah, I mean, it's north. They share the same island, pretty much, between UK and Scotland. But, wow, look at this. Completely gone. That infrastructure is gone. That they just letting it burn itself out. Yeah, that's the little water that they're pouring onto that facility. Look at the ambers, like that could catch fire. Other buildings could catch on fire. That's crazy. All right, let's keep it moving.
You a very devastating story out of Georgia. A Georgia teacher was killed in a prank gone wrong. Knew the students were coming and was excited to catch them. The family revealing in this really sad story overall. I want to go out right now to Fox 5 Atlanta's Rob DiRienzo following this story and with the latest information. Rob.
Hey there, Michael. It really is an unbelievably tragic sequence of events. These students here at North Hall High School were trying to play a prank on one of their teachers, so they went to his house and threw toilet paper all over the property, as people do. But that's when things took an unimaginable turn. As you mentioned this afternoon or earlier today, that teacher's family has put out a statement encouraging that the prosecutor drop the charges against these teens involved. Now, I want to show you who we're talking about. This is 40-year-old math teacher and golf coach Jason Hughes here at North Hall High School. Now, according to the sheriff's office, the group of teens tried to toilet paper his yard. When he came outside, deputies say the teens then jumped into their 2 cars, and as Hughes approached the street, he tripped and fell into the road, and then deputies say one of those cars hit Hughes. Deputies say the driver, 18-year-old Jaden Wallace, has been charged with vehicular homicide. But today, the teacher's family put out a statement to put the record straight. They say there was never any confrontation. Hughes was never mad. He was actually playing along with the prank and, quote, waiting to catch them in the act. Their statement reads in part, quote, the students immediately tried to provide aid until the paramedics arrived, and Jason loved these students, and they loved him too. Our family
Oh my
fully supports
God.
getting the charges dropped for all involved. Now, just a little while ago, I asked a criminal defense attorney if the prosecutor could listen to the victim's family at this point. Listen.
Yeah.
Should take that into account. It doesn't mean it's dispositive. Just because the victim's family says we don't want to proceed doesn't mean that the prosecutor's just gonna throw it out. The prosecutor will take that into account and will say, based on everything, including the wishes and requests of the victim's family, at that point, the prosecutor will then decide on whether to proceed or not to proceed.
And so, Mike, that is the big question here today. I did reach out to the local district attorney here in Hall County. He got back to me a little while ago. He said he wouldn't do an interview, but rest assured that the family of the deceased will be heard and taken into account as the matter moves forward. Meanwhile, the Hall County superintendent here is also echoing the grief being felt in this community. He said that this teacher gave so much to so many in numerous ways as he faithfully served God. Our hearts and prayers go out to his wife and family. The district says grief counselors were here on campus working with students throughout the day. They also held a private memorial service for themselves just to reflect on such a tragic day. And meanwhile, you got to keep in mind that their senior prom is just a couple days away, and these students were taking part in a ritual that so many have throughout the years, which is senior pranks. And unfortunately, it had such a devastating ending here in Hall County. Back to you, Mike.
Yeah, Rob, definitely a very freak accident that turned deadly, and now really family members on both sides really grieving during this difficult time. Rob, we appreciate all the updates here on Live Now from Fox.
Wow, that is just, that's sad. You know, I had a teacher of mine passed away. What grade was I in? I think I was in 10th grade. Yeah, because it was my mechanics teacher. Because I took mechanics class, and I was so advanced in the mechanics class, and my teacher was also my coach. He was my cross country coach because I used to run. That's one thing I used to do when I was young in high school. I ran track and I ran cross country, and I wouldn't say I got lured away. I just didn't like. Initially, I was at another high school, and they were so happy to have me on their team and so forth. But I didn't like the school because it was a brand new school at the time, and I just didn't like. I just didn't like it. I felt like it was like a jail. I felt like jail. I felt like it was like the cafeteria, the whole setup. I felt like I didn't feel right. So I told my parents, I was like, "Listen, I don't want to go to the school." You know, I was in 9th grade, so I was just starting high school. So I told my parents, "This is not the school I want to go to. It's just too. I don't know. It's not for me here. I just don't like it. I just feel like I feel like in jail. It's made out of concrete. The facility, the whole place is all concrete, and I just didn't like it. So my parents were like, "All right, well, we'll take you to the school that you want to go to." And I went to the school I went to, and I enjoyed it, and I had a great time, met great friends, um, the best of the best friends. But it was a great change. But I used to run cross country, and my teacher, he used to run, and he went out for a run one morning, and he ended up having a heart attack and dying um, while he was on his run. So it broke our hearts a little bit because when they came in with counselors and everybody. I was like, "What the fuck? All these people are here for?" Like, we didn't know he passed away, and then they told us that the teacher passed away and this and that, and it was sad. It was really sad. Everybody was like, "Damn," we were kind of all down there, and we didn't know the direction we were gonna go because this was like one of our classes. It's like, and the person that they brought in, like the replacement, he was okay. He wasn't all that, but he would never have been like my teacher. Like no way. But I did well. I passed the A's on that class. That was easy. Mechanics was very easy for me. But yeah, I just never forget when they told us like, yeah, he went for a run, and it impacted me because I ran cross country, so I was confused because I was like, who's my coach then? Because like, hello, like, yeah, I lost my teacher, but I also lost my coach. So were talking to me and this and that. They brought in someone, and it was whatever, And then I dropped out of running because I just stopped running. I felt like Forrest Gump. I just stopped running, and then I went into more into the football, more into golf. Yes, golf. You heard that right. And bowling. I was the captain of my bowling team, and I was the captain of my golf team. I even lettered on both. I lettered on both, and I came on the newspaper and everything in Miami. Yeah, it was and I did great. And the fact I was captain of my golf and bowling team speaks loud, it just it's amazing. It was amazing time back then. I was really athletic, and then I picked up so fast on sports, but I went the direction towards like golf and bowling, and where you really need like hand-eye coordination. It's like, and I lettered on, and it was I should write a book of my life, but I did promise us to be under 2 hours, and I'm gonna hold up to that. So the next video we're watching is the last video of the night. So thank you all for watching. I appreciate it. And the last one is going to be with our friend of the show, Tyson De Cruz.
I just think it's really disgusting how this institution protects itself, because y'all just half of them voted to send this stuff to House Ethics, where it's going to die. We know that members of Congress are using taxpayer dollars to pay off sexual harassment.
America, you just watched Congress vote 357 to 65 to kill a resolution that would have exposed which members used taxpayer money to cover up sexual harassment. That's both parties protecting the swamp.
We just had a member of Congress literally sexually harass a woman that then lit herself on fire, and you guys all protected him. You guys all protected my own side, your side, but I'm not going to sit here and play games. I think it's a complete fraud. I think that's why the American people hate us. I think the midterms are coming up, and everyone should go on record for this. And I hope that members are exposed for it.
I like her.
Goes back, I think, into the 70s.
But here's what they don't want you to know. While they're voting to hide records, we've
I
already
like her.
got an official one receipt.
Regina Santos Aviles was a staff member of Tony Gonzalez. She died last fall when she took her own life by setting herself on fire.
I made a mistake, and I had a lapse in judgment.
Lapse in judgment. What a fucking idiot.
What is up, guys? Tyson De La Cruz here. Thank you so much for rocking with me. Tony Gonzalez officially became the poster child for exactly why Congress wants to keep these settlements a secret here. His case shows the entire playbook. We're talking about the affair. We're talking about the payments, the cover-up structure, and what happens when it all goes public.
According to the forensic extraction of the cell phone messages, they belong to Regina Aviles Gonzalez and a contact named TG. According to Adrian Aviles, who is the staffer's widower and his attorney, TG is Tony Gonzalez. The messages were sent between 12:15 and 12:54 a.m. In one message, TG writes, quote, "Then send me a sexy pic." Later, TG asks, quote, "Favorite position?" and replies with something we cannot share on TV. Aviles Santos then replies, quote, "Never," and later writes, "This is too far, Tony."
That is your elected representative sending "send me a sexy pic" text to his employee at 12:15 in the morning. And when she pushes back saying, "Tony, this has gone too far," Watch what the system does to protect them.
Regina Santos Aviles got a raise the same year that alleged affair began. Hallie Mecklin at the local Uvalde paper conducted an analysis of Santos Aviles' base salary and total income between 2022, when she started in the office, and 2025, the year she died by suicide, lighting herself on fire in her backyard. In 2024, the year that the affair was allegedly going on, Santos Aviles' salary jumped up by $14,000, and she also received a $3,200 bonus. During that time, the newspaper says that 3 other people on Gonzalez's payroll, who also served as regional district directors, did not receive similar raises.
Notice that pattern: $14,000 raise plus $3,200 bonus in 2024, the year of this particular affair. Then the moment her husband finds out in May, the money stops completely. That, my friends, is not a coincidence. That is a paper trail showing exactly how the system works. 3 other people on Gonzalez's staff had the same job title. No raise, just Regina, obviously, because she was sleeping with him. Now, for those of you that aren't familiar with the story, let me tell you what happened to Regina, because this is where the story gets dark.
New details about the final moments of Regina Santos Aviles, a regional district director for Congressman Tony Gonzalez, who died by suicide in September. Police reports confirming the medical examiner's ruling. Santos Aviles set herself on fire. The first officer on scene spoke with her as she lay burned on the front porch. She told him she'd learned her husband was cheating with her best friend and that she'd poured gasoline on herself and ignited it. Records show she may have called 911, telling dispatchers, quote, "I don't want to die."
Her last words to 911, "I don't want to die." And Tony Gonzalez, he's still in Congress, still collecting his $174,000 salary, still voting on legislation.
Speaker Mike Johnson and House Republican leadership are now calling on Texas Republican Congressman Tony Gonzalez to withdraw from his upcoming primary runoff.
Guys, did you catch that? Republican leadership didn't demand that he resign. They just asked him to drop out of the primary.
We are following breaking news right now into our newsroom. Congressman Tony Gonzalez will not be seeking re-election.
So a woman is dead and Gonzalez stays in power because the math works, apparently.
I made a mistake and I had a lapse in judgment and there was a lack of faith. And I take full responsibility for those actions. Since then, I've reconciled with my wife, Angel. I've asked God to forgive me, which he has. And my faith is as strong as ever. When you make mistakes like this, you know, it's never easy. It humbles you, but it's important to kind of work through it all. You know, I look forward to the ethics committee starting an investigation.
Translation here. I know they're going to bury this just like they bury everything else. And you know what? He's right. Now, let me connect the dots between the Tony Gonzalez situation and the bigger system that Congress has built to protect itself. Congress has paid out over $22 million in taxpayer-funded settlements for workplace misconduct, sexual harassment, discrimination, retaliation, the whole criminal playbook here.
This is happening right here in our nation's capital, and we should be held to the highest standards. And to every member who voted to send this to committee, where you know this was sent to die on the House floor just moments ago, I hope you have a darn good reason to tell your constituents why you are not going to stand up for the victims. And I'm glad that we are doing something about it here in the Oversight Committee. I'm glad that this motion was made here, so we actually have another chance at transparency. But again, these are your tax dollars. These are your tax dollars that were used to silence victims. They have been settled with victims. And to the members who voted against this, go home and tell your daughters what you did today.
That's the challenge that every single member who voted 357 to 65 to hide these particular records. Here's how the scam works. Victim files a complaint. Congress forces them through mandatory counseling and mediation designed to wear them down. Eventually, they settle with your money, my money, taxpayer money. Then they sign an NDA that legally gags them forever. And the PDF keeps their job, keeps their power, keeps collecting taxpayer salary.
The party, Democrats and Republicans are, I think, whipping to refer it to committee, which means they're going to protect each other once again. it will fail and we won't get accountability or transparency. The American people are held to one standard and Congress is held wholly to another. And you're going to watch men in Congress, Republicans and Democrats this afternoon, hide behind the veil of let the process play out. And it's going to get referred to committee and will not see the light of day. And it never will see the light of day because the process is broken. And that's why we're doing this. Like, do we care about women or do we not? And if this gets referred to the committee, then every woman, basically, Congress will have just spit in your face and said, you don't matter. You are a second-class citizen.
Both parties are wiping votes to protect each other. This isn't Democrat versus Republican. This is the swamp versus you versus me. They all need the protection system because they never know. They never know when they might need themselves. Now let's talk about AOC Alexandria Acosta, because this is where the hypocrisy gets super thick.
This administration, the Trump administration, Donald Trump, J.D. Vance, Pam Bondi are engaged in one of the greatest cover-ups that we have seen when it comes to Jeffrey Epstein and protection of people that are in power and close to power. It is horrifying. My thoughts are with the victims.
Listen to her. My thoughts are with the victims. When it's about Trump, she's demanding transparency, calling it horrifying, insisting on accountability. But when it comes time to vote on releasing congressional harassment records, when it's her own colleagues using taxpayer money to silence victims, she voted with the 357 people to kill transparency because victims only matter to AOC when she can use them as a political weapon or political theater. But when the PDFs are sitting next to her in the congressional hearings, in the congressional seats, suddenly these people got nothing to say.
I am supportive of releasing the congressional hush money slush fund. There's been tens of millions of dollars that have been paid out over the years here in Congress to keep Hill staffers quiet about alleged sexual misconduct and other forms of mistreatment in the office. So I would love to see every congressman who's ever had to pay a settlement to a staffer, and I'm certainly supportive of Nancy Mace's resolution.
Guys, you see the pattern here. They'll demand every document related to Epstein and Trump. They'll subpoena, they'll investigate, they'll hold primary hearings. But when it comes to their own behavior, when it's congressional PDFs using your money to silence the victims, let's refer it to a committee where it absolutely dies. Let me be crystal clear about where I stand with this, because this is where my patience kind of runs thin about situations like this. Tax dollars should not be used for hush money. Period. End of story. If you screw up, if you harass somebody and you couldn't keep your hands off somebody, use your own money to make it go away. Better yet, don't put yourself in a position like that in the first place. You get it? I get it. We're not all built the same. Some people have self-control issues. Some people think their power makes them untouchable. But here's the thing. When you screw up, you pay for it, not the American taxpayer.
San Antonio attorney Bobby Barrera is now considering a libel lawsuit against Gonzalez.
Tony Gonzalez is still fighting, still threatening lawsuits against the widower who exposed him, still collecting a government paycheck. And Regina, she's dead. Her son's going to grow up without a mother. But Gonzalez gets to stay in power because the system is designed to protect him.
Members of Congress are using taxpayer dollars to pay off sexual harassment. We just had a member of Congress literally sexually harass a woman that then lit herself on fire, and you guys all protected him. You guys all protected my own side, your side. And so if you guys want to talk about victims, if you want to go out and virtue signal, and then you guys are going to kill her stuff on the floor and then try to pass. Yeah, of course, we should subpoena all of this stuff. But just, I'm not going to sit here and play games. I think it's a complete fraud. I think that's why the American people hate us. I think the midterms are coming up and everyone should go on record for this. And I hope that members are exposed for this. I hope it goes back, I think, to the 70s.
She wants the records going back from the 1970s. Think about that. 50 years of taxpayer-funded cover-ups, 50 years of victim silence, 50 years of PDFs protected, and $22+ million. Who knows what the actual number is? America, Tony Gonzalez sent explicit text to his employee, gave her raises during an affair, cut her off when she got caught, and she ended up dead in her backyard. He still has a job, still voting on your behalf, still protected by leadership. because they need his vote more than they care about the victim. AOC demands Epstein transparency while voting to hide congressional harassment records. 357 members voted to protect the system because every single one of them absolutely knows they might need that $22 million slush fund someday. But here's the new truth. That House vote wasn't about protecting victims' privacy. It was about protecting PDF's careers. Every member who voted to hide those records just told you, and while you're working overtime to make ends meet, they're using your money to cover up their scandals. The system isn't broken. It's working exactly as designed for them, not you. Let me know what you think about this. Drop it down in the comment section down below. Smash the like button if you kindly would. Share, subscribe, and as always, guys, I'll catch you on the next one.
Thank you so much for that upload. My voice is kind of like going away a little bit. I thought that was going to be the last video of the night. I don't think it's going to be. I think something big happened in Iran. Benny Johnson is breaking it. So let's go ahead, and this will probably be the last video of the night. Yeah, I think so. Let's go for it.
What's up, guys? Did war just change forever? Iran was just hit with some type of weapon that turned the entire sky blue, and then a ball of yellow shot up directly from the ground. A fireball that went effectively into space. Was Iran just hit with a laser weapon from space? This happening at the exact same time that President Trump just teased the power of our laser weapons. This happening seconds before Iran was struck. Listen to this.
And the laser technology that we have now is incredible. It's coming out pretty soon. Where literally lasers will do the work of, at a lot less cost, do the work of what the Patriots are doing or what other things are doing. The situation was very quickly approaching the point of no return, and the United States found it intolerable, in my opinion, based on what.
So President Trump here saying that the lasers, the exact quote is, the laser technology we have is incredible. It's coming out pretty soon. Lasers are going to do the same work as our missile systems, our ballistic missile systems. Well, that actually sounds like what we've seen in Iran, where the Iron Beam and then the Helios laser system that was mounted on the destroyer that took out the Iranian drone, and then the laser satellites that are in SpaceX satellites. We've seen all those systems operating in Iran. And so could this be what President Trump is teasing? Again, this comes on the heels of Donald Trump saying that we have weapons that are so powerful, we don't even understand them.
This country's very powerful. Let me tell you, it's far more powerful than people understand. We have weaponry that nobody has any idea what it is, and it is the most powerful weapons in the world that we have. More powerful than anybody, not even close.
President Trump previewing this. Check this out. President Trump saying, we have weapons that nobody even knows what it is. Okay, well, what exactly is this? Say what now? What kind of a weapon is that? And it's linked with these other. Look at that. What the hell is that? Literally.
Wow.
What is that?
Wow.
People are like, look.
You see that? Whoa.
Videos coming out of Iran right now. Look.
Ooh, look at the sky blue.
We'll get into some of the speculation as to what this is. Some of the consideration.
Look, it's coming from the sky.
What is actually going on? Intense airstrikes in Kharja, Tehran right now. Okay, so what is that?
Wow.
Let's see. The massive blue light.
Wow. Look at
Lights
that.
up the sky there.
Lights it up.
Here, the power grid goes off, and then campaigns are now targeting points in Tehran. The skies are easily accessible to American and Israeli fighter jets. Let's watch what happens here.
I think they know what these. Whoa, look at that. What is that? What the hell?
There goes the
Whoa.
power.
All the lights went off. Whoa, look at it.
Look at that. Then
Whoa.
suddenly it's daylight. Daylight. It's so terrifying. The power goes completely out. Boom. And then suddenly it becomes daylight in the middle of the night.
Whoa. Whatever that was super
Campaigns are now
freaking fast.
targeting points across the skies in Tehran. Easily
Yo,
accessible.
hypersonic.
There you go. Numerous accounts
Super
are reporting
hypersonic?
mysterious and unusual bright flash over Tehran. Here are some of the memes. Close encounters of the third kind. We are not alone. Okay. New deployment tactic. Clearly, okay, it's a Terminator.
Oh, Lord.
Energy ball. All right. Probably nothing. Is it Thor? Just an electrical flash. People are saying that it might be the aliens arriving. Iran tonight. Are we entering a new phase of war? EMP.
From
Power has
Spider-Man.
been cut. Eastern part of Tehran.
I want to see Spider-Man. I want to
power
watch it tonight.
And the city has gone completely dark, except for the massive flashes. Damn, we're using the space lasers. Is that what it is? The Goy beam discombobulator, a directed energy weapon 420. That's just
That's what they use against Venezuela.
Space Force EMP, directed energy weapon. What
They
do you
have
think this
energy
actually
weapons. I
is?
told you guys a long time ago about this shit.
New energy
you guys
weapon.
go back and watch the videos.
Looks like a high altitude EMP. Could that be what it is? Remember, Trump just literally as this video was dropping, Trump was bragging about our new laser technology. It's literally just a power transformer exploding. What you are seeing is an arc flash. Okay, so here's now the fact check. We'll see. However, there's nothing unusual about this mysterious. It's related to power flashes or electrical disturbances. People need to understand the difference between an explosion and electrical arc power flash. Okay, what is an arc power flash? People posted sort of examples here. Okay. Certainly also has like that blue light to it. Electrical arc flash, sudden explosive release of energy caused by an electrical fault where the current travels through the air between conductors or from a conductor on the ground. This creates an intense burst of light or heat with temperatures reaching up to 35,000 degrees Fahrenheit, hotter than the surface of the sun. The event is often accompanied by a supersonic pressure wave known as an arc blast, which causes severe injuries, equipment damage, and fatalities. It's a visible light and thermal energy released during a fault explosion, rapidly expanding superheated air and vaporized metal. So it could be a high voltage electrical equipment getting deteriorated.
Power.
Equipment failure on deteriorated breakers, transformers, or switchgear.
Maybe EMP? Maybe that was the EMP.
You can imagine that the bombs that we're dropping could potentially cause this. This account saying this is like an example.
That's the arc
of what that looks like. You can see there.
Yeah, that's a power arc.
Day, and so this is what it would look like in the night. So you can see like a tornado. There. You can kind of see it there. Yeah.
Oh shit.
Hmm.
Oh my God.
Uh-oh. Crazy. So, what do you think it is? What do you think it is, ladies and gentlemen? I don't know, man.
To make the sky turn blue like that?
This one is the
That
one
would make the
that's
sky
just,
white.
This one's the one that's just crazy to me. I don't know. Daylight.
Look at that.
It looks just like the sunrise in the middle of the night. Oof.
Wow.
Let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section. It's your boy Benny. New weapon, arc flash, or something else? See ya.
That ladies and gentlemen, is it's all confirmation. It gives me confirmation. I was going crazy. I talked about this a long time ago about these special weapons that they have in space, and I got crickets, same like I have now. But at least it's documented. So when people go back and watch, and trust me, there's like over 1,000 videos. So good luck. You'll come upon my video where I talk about the lasers and the lasers that are up there, and not only the lasers, but there's special weaponry up in space. Who controls space controls the world. That's why they have the space race, and that's why they always want to be in space and always putting shit up in space and stuff. And China has their shit up there, but you know, they're like, I don't know. Gives me like, China reminds me of just like paper cups. I don't know why. That image just came into my mind. You know, their shit is not like, they're not good. Their quality of goods are not great. Their shit is very toxic. Like a lot of shit in America is from China, made in China. It's like, no, we got to change that around. We need to bring back made in America. You know, made in the like in the USA. You know, why we have to buy all our shit from China? I mean, 90 probably 2% of what you have in your home was made in China. Let that sink in. It's just right now the world, they're watching, you know, Russia's watching, China's watching. They're like we need to have a meeting. We need a meeting. What the fuck just happened? Like, and China's like, what the fuck? Why would Putin be on the phone with Trump for over an hour? Why would they be on the phone for over an hour? I mean, an hour is long. I've done an hour. I'm going towards 2 hours now, and an hour is a good amount of time. I'm telling you, they're gonna try to end this quick, and they're using futuristic weapons to get these to submit. You know, because these futuristic weapons can hit them anywhere. You can't hide from it, even mountains. Because a lot of their shit is in the mountains. They could direct this energy right to the area and fry all the components. Like, all right, you had your fun, you did your little, you try to prove whatever, you sent your drones and all your bullshit, okay. But it's going to come upon a time, enough is enough. Either you get your bitch slapped now, or you're going to get your bitch slapped later. But at the end, you're going to get bitch slapped. And they thought they could rely on the Chinese. They thought that the Chinese were going to come to their aid. Are you fucking kidding me? The Chinese don't fucking run to anybody. The Chinese are empires. They what the fuck are they running to? Why would they come and help you? They get your oil. They'll send their toxic shit to you. But Chinese they don't really have friends like that. They don't have friends. They're the first ones to, if you turn around, they'll stab you in your fucking back. And it'll go right through your heart. That's how sadistic they are. And I think the conversation with Putin was a like to let him know, listen, you're gonna hear some stuff in the news. And you're gonna hear about something really, really big happening in Iran. You know? And I know Putin saw what happened and called Trump. Because this wasn't a planned call. This wasn't like, oh, we're gonna have a call for an hour. No. This was like urgent. And Trump's like, yeah, no, this war's gonna end soon. Whatever we're doing, this it's not even a war. It's more of an operation to eliminate the nuclear ambitions that Iran has. I mean, they have their ambitions. They want to, and it's not even for Iran, because they're trying to send all this material up to Russia. They're sending it to China. You know, Chinese are just supplying them with their weapons, like a lot of components that go in these missiles, and it's mostly like, and it's to help, you know, defend their homeland, which in sense they have every right to defend, but they eliminated the target in like the first minute. You know what I mean? And I know the Ayatollah put in, you know, if anything was to ever happen to him, and if he dies during an attack, that unleash what we have on Israel and our neighbors. And that's what they did. I mean, Trump has his own orders too. If something happens to Trump, and let's say they came and assassinated him, and an Iranian assassinates him or anything like something like that, they have orders that Trump has already written for them to do in retaliation. That's not like fuck around and find out retaliation. Then I knew a lot of these futuristic weapons are going to show, and that's nothing. They got so much. Do you understand? They have reverse technology here in the United States. We have like really futuristic fucking weapons. Like we have robot dogs with fucking laser weapons attached to them. Listen, Austin Powers was not wrong when he wanted the Dr. Evil with the lasers, with the sharks with fucking lasers. Like you know, we could attach lasers to dolphins, and the dolphins could go and attack the mines with lasers. Ever thought of that? The world is getting very futuristic. And the fact that we're using dolphins, that's so fucking cool. Because that's what they're using in the Gulf of Hormuz. Like, they send the dolphins in, and they detect if there's mines. If Iran threw any mines in there, they'll know, because they have sonar. And then they'll know. They're like, yeah, there's something not right over there. That shouldn't be there. And they blow it out. They blow it up. They blow up the mines. Fucking smart fucking dolphins. All right, guys, I'm going to wrap it up. Well, thank you for watching. I said I was going to keep it in 2 hours, and that's what I'm going to hold up. And I'll be back on here tomorrow, and we'll talk more. We'll see what happens. Every day is a new day, like I always say. Have a good morning, good afternoon, and a good night, and I'll catch you on the flip side. And, yeah, sleep good tonight. Tomorrow is a new day, and we don't know what it's going to bring, and I hope it's something positive, because right now we need it. Good night, everyone.